If you feel stuck, it is not because you lack power. It is because you have forgotten how to use it. The mind you possess can build empires or prisons. And right now, your mind is obeying a script that no longer serves you. But hear me, and hear me well. If you truly listen to this speech, not skim, not skip, but absorb, you will walk away a different man. You will walk away with motion in your blood, fire in your thought, and certainty in your step. But if you drift, if you half listen like the thousands who say they want more but live as less, then your chains will stay locked. Not because you are weak, but because you refuse to listen. So I offer you this moment. The key is here. The chain is rusted, and freedom is waiting on the other side of your decision to hear every word. You were not born to drift. You were born to dominate. And yet, you find yourself here, alive but not truly living, awake but not fully aware, stuck. Not because your legs are tied, but because your thoughts are. This is the tragedy of the modern man. He walks freely through the world while being held hostage in the mind. You see, most men live inside invisible cages, cages built not of iron or stone, but of fear, of doubt, of indecision, cages built from the beliefs of others, inherited stories, childhood whispers, rejections that hardened into walls. The bars, they sound like this: I'm too late. I'm not ready. What if I fail again? And here is the truth you must confront now, not gently, but with fire. If you do not destroy this cage, it will bury you alive. If you do not take command of your mind, your life will not be your own. And if you wait for clarity, confidence, or permission, you will rot waiting. This is where most remain, a slow decay of potential. Their vision turns to fog, their ambition to fatigue. They blame the world, the timing, the conditions, but never the true jailer, their thoughts. Now let me tell you what they will never tell you. You can escape. You can break it all, but it will require war, a war against comfort, against false identity, against the voice that says, you should be grateful for what you have, while deep inside, you know you were meant for more. Story. Henry Ford was not the smartest engineer. He was mocked, laughed at, even sued. But do you know what he never allowed? He never permitted the doubt of others to become the doubt within himself. He said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And with that, he shattered the bars of limitation that society tried to place on him. That quote is not a phrase, it is a formula. Thought equals identity. Identity equals action. Action equals reality. And if your thoughts are sick, so is your life. Now here is your first practice, and take out a notebook, a page, anything, and write this sentence. The reason I feel stuck is, then write. Write until the truth stings. Is it fear? Is it laziness disguised as overthinking? Is it shame? And then below that, write, if I do not change this, what will my life look like in 5 years? Look at it. Feel it. Let it disgust you. Because disgust is often the beginning of change. Affirmation. I am not stuck. I am being summoned to rise. Say it again, now louder, now with the force of someone breaking out of a cell. This moment is not the end. It is the breaking point, the one you'll remember as the beginning of everything. But only if you act, only if you listen, all the way through, because the next part will show you the root of your chain and how to melt it with a single truth. Ready? Let's continue. The reason most men stay stuck is simple. They are waiting for a feeling, a sign, a surge of certainty. They want the fire before the first spark. But the subconscious does not work that way. It is not a motivator. It is a mirror. It does not care if you succeed. It does not care if you remain average. It does not care if you become a legend or a ghost. It simply reflects what you repeat, not what you wish. You may say you want freedom, but if your internal language is, I don't think I can do this, I always sabotage myself, I've never been consistent, then that is exactly what you will live, because the subconscious does not argue. It obeys. It is the most powerful servant in the world, and yet most treat it like a distant stranger, whispering uncertainty instead of issuing command. Here's what you must understand now. Your subconscious will not wake you up one day with confidence. It will not kick in when the timing is right. It will only echo the orders you consistently give it, whether those orders are destructive or divine. Let me tell you a story that proves this truth. The man failed 10,000 times before creating the light bulb. And when they asked him why he kept going, why he didn't stop, he didn't say, "Because I felt good." He didn't say, "Because I was confident." He said, "I didn't fail. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work." That is not the voice of emotion. That is the voice of command. Edison did not ask his subconscious for permission to keep going. He trained it to believe that success was inevitable, no matter the delay. He didn't hope to become successful. He installed it through daily repetition, decision, and identity. And you must do the same, because the longer you feed hesitation, the more it becomes your script. The longer you dwell on weakness, the more it becomes your identity. The longer you wait to feel like it, the more your subconscious learns that comfort is your commander. So here is your practice. Not someday, not later. Now, write this down. The belief that keeps me stuck is, identify it, name it, don't dress it up, don't make it poetic, be real. Is it, I'll never be like them? Every time I try, I mess up? I'm too old? I missed my window? I'm not smart enough? Write the ugliest one, the one that lives the deepest. And then, burn it, literally. Take that page and burn it like a ceremony, because that belief is not welcome anymore. Now write its replacement. I command my mind to obey this new identity, and follow it with this. I am the man who executes. I am the man who finishes. I am the man who succeeds. Repeat it, loud, slow, with conviction. Do it 100 times this week. Aloud, in front of the mirror, while walking, while alone, every single day. You are not just saying words. You are laying new bricks in the house of your mind. You are rewriting the programming that has silently sabotaged your life. Because again, the subconscious does not argue, it obeys. So if it must obey something, let it obey the highest version of you. Let it obey the man who acts without permission. Let it obey the voice of purpose, not fear. Let it obey command, not feeling. I do not wait to feel ready. I act, and my mind follows. That is your identity now. Say it again. I act, and my mind follows. Now breathe, stand, look yourself in the eyes. The man you just spoke to, that man is being built. With every repetition, with every step, with every command, he's coming. You are not just a product of your choices. You are a reflection of your environment. The voices you hear, the habits you witness, the energy that surrounds you, all of it. Every piece of your daily atmosphere is a silent architect of your beliefs. Environment is not passive, it is active. And if you feel stuck, it's likely because your environment is pulling you backward, while your soul is begging you to move forward. You rise to the level of what surrounds you, or you remain at the level of what surrounds you. That is the law. You may have the vision of a king, but if you live inside a kingdom of excuses, you will speak like them, act like them, and eventually believe you are one of them. Let me tell you something very few will say out loud. If you stay in a room that normalizes delay, mediocrity, distraction, and fear, you will never rise, no matter how strong your mind is. Your subconscious does not only listen to you, it listens to the rhythm of the people, habits, and messages you allow around you. This is why Andrew Carnegie didn't just build steel. He built a mastermind, a group of men whose very presence forced expansion. Men who did not ask, "Is this too bold?" Men who challenged each other to act before comfort arrived. Men whose standards were so high that even standing beside them made you think bigger, because energy is contagious. And if you spend too much time around the energy of fear, doubt, and stagnation, you will catch it. You will call it logic or realism or just being practical. But the truth is, you've caught the infection of smallness. And here's the most dangerous part. If you stay in that environment long enough, it starts to feel normal. And once something becomes normal, it becomes sacred. You start defending the very thing that is keeping you stuck. You say things like, oh, that's just how I am. So that's just the way my schedule is. I don't have people like that around me. Listen to me. That's not how you are. That's how you've been programmed. Your environment carved that pattern into you, and your silence maintained it. But today, you carve something new. If you want your subconscious to believe that a new life is beginning, you must change something physical in your environment. It can be simple, but it must be deliberate. Rearrange your desk, clear the clutter in your room. Replace a piece of art, or remove something that no longer represents your future. Throw out something you've kept out of guilt or fear. Set an alarm that goes off every day with your new identity phrase. This is not decoration. This is declaration. You are telling your subconscious, I no longer live in the house of my former self. I no longer sleep in the bed of delay. I no longer walk in the shoes of the man who was stuck. Even a single object change with purpose is a seed planted in the subconscious. And once it sees one seed, it becomes willing to grow more. Beyond the visible environment, audit the invisible. Who are you listening to daily? What voices speak into your mind through books, audio, or casual conversations? Do you keep company with doubters or builders? Let this be your rule. If a man would laugh at your dream, he is not qualified to speak into your process. If a man would flinch at your ambition, he cannot advise your discipline. You must surround yourself with standards, not sympathy. There's nothing wrong with love and support. But if your circle only loves you as you are, and not as you could become, then they are not your circle. They are your cage. Even if you're alone right now, you can build a new circle. Start with books. Start with the men who already lived as you want to live. Let their stories become your environment. Read Carnegie, read Ford, read Edison. Watch what they did. Copy their rituals. Adopt their mindset like armor. You don't need a new friend group to change. You need a new frequency. And once you embody that, the right people will appear. Growth does not tolerate comfort. You cannot grow in the same room where you started doubting yourself. You cannot evolve while clinging to the same schedule that keeps you busy but never makes you better. You cannot rise while everything around you reminds you of the man you're trying to leave behind, so shift something. Now today, rearrange your space, upgrade what you see. Change what you listen to, audit what you tolerate, because the subconscious watches it all. And the moment it sees that you're no longer acting like the old version of you, it begins to build the new one. Every man is ruled by something. Whether he knows it or not, he bows to a voice, and that voice dictates the quality of his life. Some men are ruled by a memory they never made peace with. Others obey a set of fears passed down to them like heirlooms. Some follow the voice of their father, their mother, their teacher, or the echo of a failure that's grown louder with time. But no man escapes the law. You become what you consistently obey. And so the question is not, what do you want? The question is, whose voice do you follow when no one is watching? That voice, not your goal, is what determines your direction. A man might dream of wealth, of strength, of freedom, of leadership. But if the voice he follows whispers of caution, of delay, of maybe later, he will never rise, no matter how grand his ambition. Henry Ford had every reason to listen to the world around him, a world that told him he wasn't educated enough, not trained enough, not ready. He didn't have the schooling, he didn't have the credentials, he didn't have the resume, but he had a voice, his own, and that voice declared, I can summon to me any man with the knowledge I require. Ford didn't obey tradition. He didn't obey the experts. He didn't obey fear. He obeyed his vision. And because of that, he built an empire. The chains that keep most men stuck are not made of steel. They are made of repetition, the same thoughts, the same excuses, the same inner dialogue, the same emotional obedience. A man doesn't even notice he's kneeling anymore. But make no mistake, obedience is a habit. And the more you follow a weak voice, the more you reinforce the identity that you are weak. Ask yourself now and write it down. Who am I obeying? Am I obeying fear? Am I obeying my comfort? Am I obeying my old self, the one who decided he couldn't long before he ever tried? Or am I obeying a higher command, a vision, a mission, a standard that burns even when I don't feel like following it? You may believe you lack discipline. You don't. You've just been trained to obey the wrong voice. Start observing. When you say, "I'll do it later," whose voice is that? When you delay the workout, avoid the risk, hide from the confrontation. What voice are you following? And when you do act in power, when you move decisively, speak clearly, stand tall, what voice did you listen to then? There are only two commands in every moment. One leads to freedom and the other to slavery. You are always choosing one. Every action is allegiance. You are either reinforcing the identity of the man you were or the man you are becoming. Your breakthrough will not come from another technique, another strategy, another external answer. Your breakthrough will come the day you stop listening to the weak voice and start obeying the one that sees your future. So I ask you now with ruthless honesty, do you obey fear? Do you obey your past? Or do you obey vision? This is not just mindset. This is warfare. And the battlefield is between your ears. Every man hears both voices, one that pulls him toward destiny and one that pulls him back into the mud of the familiar. The difference between the weak and the strong is not that one hears less noise. It's that the strong refuse to obey the noise. It doesn't matter how loud your fear gets. It only matters how often you answer it. You feed it by obeying it, and so now you shift. From this moment forward, your new creed must be this: I obey command, not comfort. I follow the voice of my future, not my past. Repeat it until it sticks. Speak it aloud. Etch it into your day. Whisper it before you act. Then test it. When your alarm rings early and your body says stay, whisper, I obey command, not comfort. When it's time to write, build, speak, or show up, and your doubt says you're not ready, whisper, I follow the voice of my future, not my past. And when you feel resistance rise and you're tempted to retreat, declare, I am not ruled by what I feel. I am ruled by what I choose. You are not the only one who has ever had to disobey fear to become free. Carnegie disobeyed the voices that told him to stay small. Lincoln disobeyed the voices that begged him to bend under pressure. Edison disobeyed the voice of impossible 10,000 times. Each of them rose not because they never heard fear, but because they refused to take its orders. So now the decision belongs to you. In every breath, in every act, in every moment, what voice will you obey? Obedience is not neutral. It builds identity, and whatever you obey, you become. The man who is free is not the one who feels no fear. He is the one who listens and disobeys. Most men are not stuck because they lack desire. They are stuck because their desire is a fog, hazy, undefined, and ever-shifting. They feel hunger, yes. They feel ambition, yes. But they cannot move forward with power because they do not know where forward is. And so they spin, they work, they grind, and yet they remain exactly where they are. Desire without clarity is like fire without direction. It burns, but it does not forge. There is no force more powerful in the world than a definite desire. A man who knows exactly what he wants becomes immune to most distractions. His will sharpens, his mind filters, his spirit gains weight. You can feel it in the way he walks, the way he speaks, the way he chooses what to ignore. And yet, most never take the time to name their desire. They hope vaguely. They wish passively. They say things like, I want to be successful. I want to be rich. I want to be free. But the subconscious does not respond to vagueness. It requires precision. It needs to be told where to go. Desire, real desire, must be carved out of thought like a sculpture from stone. Ask yourself now, what do you actually want? Not just today, not just this year, but deeply, eternally. If there were no fear, no resistance, no voices telling you to play it safe, what would you name as your target? One man says, I want to make more money. That's not definite. That's not desire. That's a vague hope, easily forgotten and easily delayed. Another man says, I want to build a business that earns $500,000 a year, helps 10,000 people transform their lives, and allows me to retire my parents. That is clarity. That is direction. And because it is clear, it begins to activate the subconscious like a magnet. Edwin C. Barnes in Think and Grow Rich. Barnes did not say, I want to work in business. He did not say, I hope to get a good job with Thomas Edison. He said, I will become Edison's partner. And though he had no money, no connections, and no formal education, he succeeded. Not because he had better tools, but because he had a definite chief aim, and he refused to compromise with vagueness. This clarity burned in him so deeply that even when he was assigned lowly tasks, even when years passed without visible progress, he did not doubt. He saw the end in his mind long before it existed in the world. That is the power of desire backed by belief. It becomes a path. Write this down now. Make it personal. Desire backed by belief becomes a path. Because what you believe becomes what you build. But what you fail to name can never be built. So your practice for this part is this. Write your definite chief aim. Not tomorrow, not after you read a few more pages. Now, sit down and answer the question. If I could build one result without fear of failure, what would I build? Be specific. Make it concrete. What do you want? How much? By when? For what purpose? Then, once you have written it, speak it aloud every single morning. Yes, speak it aloud. Not because the air needs to hear it, but because you do. The version of you that doubts, delays, and forgets, that version must be reminded every single day who you are becoming. There is a power that awakens in a man who hears himself declare his purpose. A quiet but profound shift begins to take place. Hesitation loses its grip. His day begins to arrange itself around his aim. Opportunities are no longer missed because he begins to notice what aligns and discard what doesn't. This is how clarity becomes liberation. Without it, you live as a drifter, always moving, never arriving. But with it, you move as one with a compass. And even when the storm hits, you still know where you're going. Understand this. Desire without clarity is noise, but desire with clarity is destiny. Ford, Carnegie, Lincoln, none of them had perfect plans when they began, but they had something better. They had burning clarity of purpose. They knew what they were here to do. And because they knew it, they endured more, risked more, and achieved more than any man who was merely interested. So I'll ask you again, what do you want? If you do not know, you are not yet ready to rise, because rising requires direction. And direction is born when you stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. The man who is clear does not waste time. He does not argue about distractions. He does not debate with drifters. He is not shaken by storms. He simply moves forward because he knows where forward is. Say this now. My desire is clear. My path is known. I move forward, not by emotion, but by command. And from this day forward, do not let a morning pass without reading your definite chief aim. It is not a ritual for motivation. It is a command for identity. And the man who obeys it becomes it. Doubt is not a result of being unprepared. It is a result of being still. Every time a man hesitates, he waters the roots of fear. Every moment of overthinking becomes another brick in the wall that separates him from power. We speak often of confidence, of courage, of belief. But the truth most avoid is this. None of these come before action. They are born inside it. You do not become courageous and then move. You move and then discover your courage. You do not build belief by reading. You build it by doing what your fear says you cannot do. Doubt, like mold, thrives in darkness and stillness. Action is the light that kills it. This is not a theory. This is law. Abraham Lincoln made some of the most world-shaping decisions in the history of mankind. He abolished slavery. He held a broken nation together. And yet he did so not because he was without fear, but because he acted in spite of it. Imagine the weight of such decisions. Hundreds of thousands of lives at stake, the very future of a divided country on his shoulders. And still he did not wait for fear to vanish. He knew it never would. He acted anyway. That is the difference between the man who transforms the world and the man who is transformed by it. The man who moves wins. The man who waits watches. And the world does not reward watchers. So you must train yourself to act while afraid, to interrupt the cycle of hesitation with movement, because every time you move, you reclaim ground. You take a piece of your life back from the hands of doubt. Here is a powerful exercise for you right now. Sit down and write out your fear list. Name them. Do not hide them. Do not pretend they are invisible. Write out the very things you know have been stealing your momentum. What are you afraid of? Is it failure, rejection, financial ruin, criticism? Is it the fear that you're not good enough, that you'll try and still fall short? Write them all. And then next to each one, write down one opposing action you can take within the next 48 hours. Not 48 days, not someday when things feel right. 48 hours. If you fear rejection, send the proposal. If you fear failure, start the project. If you fear judgment, speak your truth publicly. Whatever it is, move toward it, even just a single step, because here's what you'll find. It isn't fear itself that holds you captive. It's the story around the fear. And when you move, you interrupt that story. You break the spell. You prove through action that the thing you feared was never as powerful as your mind made it. Repeat this to yourself. I act while afraid. That is courage. I am no longer in rehearsal. This is the performance. This is no longer the season for preparation. You've prepared long enough. You've waited long enough. You've read the books, made the plans, dreamed the dreams. Now it's time to walk into the storm. And know this, once you move, momentum becomes your ally. Energy begins to gather around your steps. The universe, your subconscious, your very cells begin to understand that you are serious. Doubt shrinks when you do. Fear bends when you act. And hesitation dies the moment you disobey it. You do not need to feel ready. You need only to be willing. The man who is willing becomes the man who wins. And if you will make this one shift, this one habit of acting in defiance of fear, you will be reborn. Not because fear disappeared, but because it lost control. So write the list, take the steps, and live the truth. Action is the cure, because the chains that hold you now are not made of metal. They are made of hesitation. Break them. The man who leaves himself a way out takes it. Not always, not instantly, but eventually. And when he does, he forfeits not just the goal. He forfeits the identity that could have been born from staying in the fire. History does not remember the men who played it safe. It remembers those who went all in. Henry Ford invested everything he had into the Model T. And when his advisors, his bankers, his engineers told him it couldn't be done, he didn't look for alternatives. He didn't pivot. He didn't hedge his bet. He said, produce it anyway. He gave himself no escape route. That's why the Model T didn't just change transportation. It changed history, because the man behind it had no option but victory. Most people fail, not because they lack skill, but because they keep their exits open. They say things like, if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to school. If this doesn't take off, I'll go back to the old job. I'll try this for a while, but keep my other options open. But if you leave the door unlocked, fear will find it. You must understand. Every escape plan is a vote against your own success. There is only one way to build something great, and that is to walk to the edge, light the bridge behind you on fire, and say to yourself, There is no going back. I will win or I will die trying. That may sound extreme to the comfortable man, but the man who is ready to rise understands. Comfort never produced greatness. Certainty never birthed transformation, and safety never wrote history. If you truly want freedom, you must give up the illusion of fallback, because every time you fall back on something, you fall back into someone. The man you used to be, the one who doubted, the one who delayed, the one who settled. And every time you return to him, you make him stronger. You give him a voice, you say your way is still an option. It cannot be. You must burn the bridge. Here's your practice. Declare your goal publicly. Speak it out loud. Write it where you can see it every day. Let others know. This creates accountability. It forces your subconscious to align with your commitment. Then remove the backup plan. Delete the plan B. Stop investing energy into alternatives. Put your time, money, attention, and heart into one direction. Not 10, not 2, 1. That does not mean you act foolishly. It means you act decisively. Because when your back is against the wall, the real you shows up. The version of you that you didn't know existed. The one that performs, that solves, that creates, that endures. That version cannot emerge while you're still holding the keys to your escape. Say this now. I do not keep the door open. I burn the bridge behind me. I do not plan for retreat. I prepare for victory. And write this down. Commit it to memory. He who gives himself the option to quit will. But not you. Not now. You are becoming the man who goes all in, who commits with fire, and who leaves nothing behind but ashes. A man who waits to feel like doing the work will wait his entire life. This is the graveyard of potential. The belief that emotion must lead the way. That if you do not feel like building, you are not ready to build. That if inspiration hasn't arrived, the day cannot begin. But the men who break free, the men who create fortune, influence, and freedom, they do not wait for permission from their mood. They install rituals that override the emotion of the moment. Because motivation is fleeting, but ritual is dependable. And Andrew Carnegie did not build an empire because he was more inspired than others. He built it because he expected from himself and his men a structure of thought and action. His greatest leaders were trained in routine. They were forged in habit. They lived by systems, not feelings. One of Carnegie's most effective requirements for his team was this: no man under my command waits to feel. He begins. He builds. Let this be your standard now. Let this be the shift that frees you. You are no longer allowed to ask yourself how you feel. You ask only, what is the ritual I have committed to today? So here is what I will give you now: a framework. 3 daily rituals that will rewire your identity, restructure your mind, and install within you the discipline of achievement. 1. Morning self-talk. Every morning before the world has touched your mind, you must touch it first. You must direct it, train it, instruct it. Before you speak to anyone else, speak to yourself. Clearly, powerfully, with certainty. Do not drift into the day with thoughts given to you by fear or memory. Create your own. Say out loud with intensity, I command my mind, I command my body, I am the architect of this day. No thought lives here unless I allow it. No fear survives unless I feed it. Today I build. I do not ask for power, I generate it. This practice will take you 3 minutes, but those 3 minutes will define the direction of your entire day. 2. Read your definite chief aim. The man without direction drifts. The man with direction builds. But the man who reminds himself of his direction daily becomes unstoppable. This is a cornerstone of Think and Grow Rich, the definite chief aim. And yet most men write it once and never speak it again. But if you are serious about freedom, you will read it every single day. Not like a chore, like a decree. Stand tall, read it out loud, breathe as you speak, believe every word. Let this daily reading remind your subconscious, this is who I am. This is where I am going. Do not change it often. Keep it steady. Let its repetition work on you like waves shaping stone. 3. Silent visualization of identity. Before you move into the noise of the world, go into silence, close your eyes, breathe, and see yourself. Not as you were, not as you are, but as the man you are becoming. See him walking into rooms with power. See him making bold decisions. See him refusing to delay. See him leading, building, creating, commanding. Visualization is not fantasy. It is instruction. You are giving your subconscious a blueprint to follow. And your nervous system, your thoughts, your actions, will begin to comply. 5 minutes, that is all it takes. But that practice, repeated daily, becomes a spiritual muscle, one that bends reality in your direction. Do not skip this, because what you see with intensity, you begin to build with certainty. These 3 rituals, when done daily, form the foundation of transformation. They are the scaffolding for freedom, the structure that carries you when emotion fails you. They are the new voice, the new rhythm, the new pattern. And it is repetition that turns patterns into identity. Write this now. My rituals build my reality. Repetition is the bridge to freedom. Understand, the man who builds daily becomes the man who wins inevitably. Because ritual is not about excitement, it is about installation. Motivation comes and goes. But systems do not ask questions. They run. You will run your day, or your old self will. And the only way to ensure it is you who is in control, is to build the day before it begins. So begin now, not tomorrow, not next week. And now say the words, read the aim, see the man, and never again depend on motivation when you have ritual. The reason most men remain stuck is not because they lack vision. It is because they see their vision as something separate from who they are. They think success is something they achieve, when in truth, it is something they embody. You do not rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your identity. This is why goals without identity change fail. Because a man may write down a goal, may even speak it aloud for weeks, but if deep within himself he still believes he is not the type of man who earns it, holds it, lives it, he will find 1,000 silent ways to sabotage it. Because identity always wins. The mind will only allow into your life what is consistent with who you believe you are. So you must understand this now. You are not here to try to succeed. You are not here to attempt transformation. You are here to become the man who already lives it. And the bridge to that new identity is visualization. But not the kind where you just imagine the car, or the house, or the money. That is wishful fantasy. That is surface-level dreaming. The kind of visualization that transforms a man is this: seeing yourself as the kind of man who already deserves it. Close your eyes, breathe, and see yourself waking early with power, speaking with clarity, with certainty, commanding rooms, commanding thoughts, executing tasks without delay, rejecting doubt, walking into each day like it is yours to conquer. See this man in vivid detail. Watch how he walks, feel how he breathes, hear how he speaks. This is not a game, this is not imagination, this is installation. Because the subconscious is not logical, it is emotional, and it is visual. It does not respond to charts or lists. It responds to repetition and image. So if you feed your subconscious a vision of yourself as strong, decisive, relentless, it begins to reconfigure your behavior to match. And slowly the old patterns fall away. The hesitation fades. The self-doubt becomes foreign. Why? Because your system has received new instructions. This is how Charles M. Schwab rose from a lowly worker to the right hand of Carnegie. It was not mere skill. It was presence. It was posture. It was identity. Long before Schwab was given command over steel empires, he moved through life as if he already had. He spoke like a leader. He thought like one. He made decisions like one. He wore the uniform of identity. And eventually, reality had to conform. You can do the same. You must do the same. Exercise. Each morning after your rituals, stand in silence for 5 minutes. Close your eyes and visualize not your goals, but yourself as the kind of man who naturally produces those goals. Picture your habits. Picture your reactions. Picture your focus. Now speak one sentence aloud. I am not trying to succeed. I am becoming success. Repeat it until it feels like truth. Because when it becomes true on the inside, it will begin to shape the outside. This is the law. This is how you break the chain. By installing a vision of the man you are becoming until the current version of you begins to dissolve in its presence. No longer say, I will try. Say, this is who I am now. Your subconscious doesn't need a goal, it needs a blueprint. So give it one. And give it daily. Because if you keep feeding your mind a clear emotional image of who you are becoming, your behavior, your focus, your energy, your decisions, they will have to obey. Write this now. I am not chasing results. I am becoming the man who produces them. And then prove it in how you speak, in how you walk, in how you show up. This is the escape path. And it is not a someday fantasy. It is a decision. Repeat it until it becomes identity. Freedom is not the result of a breakthrough moment. It is the result of something far less glamorous, far more powerful, repetition. One moment of inspiration may open the door, but only daily repetition will carry you through it. Every man wants to feel set free, but few are willing to rehearse freedom until it becomes their default state. Most wait for the feeling to arise. The exceptional few, the free, install that feeling through repetition. Understand this now. The subconscious mind does not care if something is true or false. It only cares if it is repeated. And whatever is repeated with emotion becomes accepted as law. You do not escape fear by wrestling it once. You escape it by starving it of attention and feeding your identity new truths every single day. This is the path. This is the practice. Do not make this mistake. Do not listen to this once and expect change. Listen again. Repeat the words. Memorize the phrases. Burn them into your bloodstream until your entire nervous system begins to react differently to fear, differently to hesitation, differently to the lies of the old self. This is how you rewire the loop. This is how the cage collapses, not with force, but with consistency. Now I give you this. 7 affirmations of liberation. Say them now, and again tonight, and again tomorrow morning. Say them until they do not feel like affirmations, but identity. I no longer obey fear. I create motion daily. My identity leads, my feelings follow. I am not waiting to become free. I am rehearsing freedom. Each breath I install power. My habits create the man, not my hopes. I do not entertain the old story. I write a new one daily. Speak these with force, and do not whisper them. Shout them if you must. Let them echo in your chest, because the world has fed you enough lies about your limits. It's time you start feeding yourself truth, on loop. Let repetition become your ritual. Let the daily word become your internal law. Let freedom be the result of practice, not accident. From this point on, you do not wait to feel worthy. You declare it daily until the old doubt has no home left in your mind. Repeat this to yourself now with finality. I do not need a miracle. I need a moment. Repeat it until I become it. This is how you become free, not by inspiration, but by instruction. By rewriting your reality, one declaration at a time, until even your silence begins to speak freedom. Right now, in this very moment, you stand on a line between two worlds. Behind you, the old pattern, the old loop, the old identity that says, I'm stuck. Ahead of you, the man you were meant to become, standing tall, waiting not for permission, but for your decision. You are not merely making a choice today. You are showing your future self what kind of man you are. He is watching. He is watching to see, will you retreat to comfort? Or will you rise even while uncertain? Will you fall into the old excuses? Or will you finally become the architect of your becoming? Because being stuck is not a life sentence. It is a daily habit. It is a loop of hesitation repeated so many times that it became a personality. But that is all it is, repetition of avoidance. And what breaks repetition? A decision, spoken aloud, acted upon, repeated until it becomes law. This is the moment you declare what kind of man you are, not by emotion, but by command. Speak this now, with force, with spine, with full conviction. I'm the type of person who is decisive. I'm the type of person who is focused. I'm the type of person who has faith. I'm the type of person who has a burning desire. I'm the type of person who is disciplined. Now repeat it again. This time, not as a man trying to convince himself, but as the man who knows it's already true. I'm the type of person who is decisive. I'm the type of person who is focused. I'm the type of person who has faith. I'm the type of person who has a burning desire. I'm the type of person who is disciplined. Why do we repeat? Because the world has repeated lies to you for years. Because fear has whispered the same doubts into your ears for decades. Because if you don't repeat your own truth, your old programming will. And if you don't feed your subconscious daily, the world will feed it for you. With fear, with distraction, with mediocrity disguised as being realistic. So we speak again, we speak louder, until silence begins to echo the same identity. This is not a game of hype. This is a war of identity. The man who wins is the man who repeats power louder than his past repeated doubt. And every time you declare who you are, every time you affirm the man you are becoming, your future self watches. He nods. He steps closer. Stuck only exists when identity is undefined. But the moment you decide, this is who I am, the chains loosen, the fog lifts, and action returns. From this day forward, speak of yourself not in the language of limitation, but of leadership. Say, I am disciplined, even if you're trembling. Say, I am focused, even when distracted. Say, I am decisive, even in uncertainty. Because identity is not born from truth, it is born from decision. And once that decision is spoken and acted upon and repeated, you become it. So I ask you now, what kind of man do you want to meet 5 years from now? If you say a man who is free, who is bold, who is built from focus and action and inner fire, then understand this, that man is watching. And he does not care about your circumstances. He only cares about your decisions. So decide boldly, speak daily, and repeat with power. Because your future is not waiting to happen. Your future is watching who you are becoming. You thought you were stuck. You told yourself you were broken, lost, lacking direction, waiting for something to shift so life could begin again. But the truth is far greater and far more powerful. You were never stuck. You were becoming. The pressure you felt, it was growth in disguise. The heaviness, that was resistance training your spirit. The silence, that was the forging of your voice. Every delay, every doubt, every moment of stillness was not a prison. It was preparation. Because no man rises without a season of becoming. No oak grows without first splitting its seed. No empire is built before the foundation is tested. And now, you are no longer guessing. You are no longer circling the same thoughts. You have spoken new words, built new patterns, declared a new identity. You did not just listen to a speech, you rewired your soul. The man who began this journey was not the man who finishes it. The chains, you held the key the whole time. The fear, it only lived as long as you fed it. The doubt, it died the moment you remembered who you were becoming. So repeat this truth. Not as a man hoping to believe it, but as one who knows, I was never stuck, I was becoming. I was never broken, I was building. I was never weak, I was waiting to be called into strength. And now that strength is yours. Let us finish with one final declaration, not whispered but declared, daily, clearly, without apology. I'm the type of person who is decisive. I'm the type of person who is focused. I'm the type of person who has faith. I'm the type of person who has a burning desire. I'm the type of person who is disciplined. Repeat it again and again and again. Not until you remember it, but until you forget who you used to be.